It's 7:01, so we're going to start the meeting. Will you please all join me with our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will Clerk Busey please call the roll?
Councilman Wolver?
Here.
Councilwoman Corbin?
Here.
Supervisor Cusey?
Here.
And also present is Deputy Town Supervisor Victoria Mazzetti.
Here.
And me.
Augie's here.
Hey, guys.
Are we all done with the me's? I didn't know if anyone else wanted to announce. All right. We do have some announcements. The one that you've heard last week is that our last meeting is the town hall is open and continues to be open. And we are serving our customers, the residents. And I don't know of any incidents that would be anything that we should be concerned about. We're also going to have live streaming on the town YouTube channel. Deputy Supervisor, would you like to mention anything about that?
Yeah, the live stream would not work. It said that it will be ready in 24 hours, so that will not help us. But they are being uploaded in a timely fashion. On my end, it just takes about like 48 to 72, sometimes 4 to 5 days for the video to process. It'll get stuck at 95% processing. But it takes a while to be uploaded, but everything should be uploaded. I can't live stream it right now. So hopefully next meeting, we'll keep practicing.
Well,
learning curve for everyone.
Did you want to make reference at all to the national Zoom problems that they've had yesterday and today?
Jerry, I only like to focus on the positive.
Oh, okay. I understand. I know. I just wanted to make sure that people knew that it wasn't because of something we've done.
No, just pure panic.
There you go. Also want to announce that we are in the second session of the budget workshops tonight. We will adjourn the public meeting and go into the budget workshop, and everyone who would like to attend is more than welcome to stay on. Also want to announce that the virtual forum that was going to be projected for the Horseshoe Solar website has a new date, and that will be on our website.
Jerry, if you hang on 1 second, I can pull up that date for you because she just sent it today, I think.
I believe it was today.
September 28th.
I have it for you. It's September 28th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I wanted to also mention that over where our tennis court is behind the town hall, there is a picnic table that was donated years ago by Monroe Signs. And somehow that picnic table got relegated to the weeds and trees, and it wasn't able to be used by anyone. And Mark David and I got it out, and I hope people will go over there and use it. There's a grill there, and it's a nice, quiet place to have a little snack. And I also wanted to mention that the Highway Department has replaced all of the American flags on the poles in the hamlet. Some of them were pretty tattered. We bought new flags and they look nice. I now want to go into the, does anyone else have any announcement they'd like to make?
Supervisor Cusey, that's the basketball courts, right? Not
Basketball court, tennis court, pickleball court,
I just want to make sure, for the record. We don't have a tennis court.
There's only, yeah, well, I've seen people play tennis out there,
Okay,
so,
just want to make sure.
yep, there's only one, so whatever you want to call it, it's by that. Public comment period next. Remember, this is the comment period where you can air your opinion. You won't get any response. Please keep it nice and respectful of other attendees and have at it.
Thank you for the flags. Does anybody want to participate in the first public comment period? Anyone?
I guess
It's a quiet night.
the cat's got everyone's tongue. That's okay. They'll get a second chance. We had on the agenda the approval of the August 12th minutes, but I just got them today when I logged on at 6:15. I didn't get a chance to read them, trying to get on this. Does anyone else have an opinion about the minutes or want to consider passing them?
I'd appreciate approving them next meeting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. There will be no transfer of funds tonight, and the approval of the abstract goes to Councilwoman Corbin.
Thank you very much. I move to approve claims listed on abstract 8-2 dated August 24th, 2020 for vouchers 2020-768 through 2020-831, excluding vouchers number 811 and 814, be approved for payment in the amount of $75,653.46. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Wolver,
Aye.
Councilman Corbin,
Aye.
Supervisor Cusi,
Aye.
And supervisors, I typically do, in reviewing them, we like to report out to the residents any large amounts. Large invoices to report was the Excellus Healthcare. The town paid $21,169 this month. There was a town road surface treatment for Pine Tree Circle and Trail for $15,452. And the AC replacement in the town clerk's office for $10,800. And that is it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. There was no correspondence. And now we can move on to reports from town board members and department heads. So we'll start with the town board. Councilwoman Corbin, would you like to make a report?
Yep, I have a short one this meeting. I attended the zoning board meeting on August 13th, just as a guest. I attended the planning board meeting on August 18th as a town board liaison. There were no public hearings scheduled for that meeting. However, there was an informal discussion. They reviewed a sketch layout for a single family residence subdivision. And tomorrow I will be attending a webinar sponsored by the Association of Towns on Municipal Ethics 101. And that's it for me.
Wow, thank you very much. How about Councilman Woolliver? Do you have a report? 1911 or any other item?
I attended the zoning board meeting. I attended the fire commissioners meeting. They're working on a solar battery statement. I attended the 1911 committee meeting. Our new building inspector was there, John Limbeck. He had a chance to go over and look at the building. He pointed out the sidewalks and ramps would probably have to be redone if we were going to use it for municipal use. make it ADA compliant. Doors and windows are in bad shape, should probably be replaced. Would probably need an elevator, would need 2 new handicap bathrooms. And they suggested to have the committee to have an architect looked at it. And I talked with our engineer and he gave me a suggestion of an architect. But to have an architect go through the building and determine the best method to make it useful for the history department or any municipal use really could cost us better than $10,000. Just to take a look structurally what we'd have to do to make it useful. And I know money is tight.
Dan,
Wow.
it's Amber. I know when I would attend town board meetings in the past, I often heard you and the supervisor report on 1911. Has an architect ever gone through and done what was just recommended?
No, we had an energy audit and we just were using it as 4 apartments. But to make it ADA compliant, it's gonna need a lot of additional work besides a roof and windows and doors and insulation and everything. So
All right, thanks.
it's
Maybe-
hard to nail down on, an architect on a price to do a survey of the property. I will contact them this week and just see if I can feel them out to get some kind of idea how much would need to be spent, just to see if it's worth saving.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How about Deputy Supervisor Mazzetti? Do you have a report?
I think there was some confusion about a special, hang on, let me find it in my email, about a special special planning board meeting for September 1st, so that is off, that is not happening. And then I think there is a special zoning board meeting tomorrow that is happening. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a special zoning board tomorrow, August 27th at 7 p.m. The Zoom link should be on the website, and the planning board is not having one on September 1st. And if everyone just could be patient with me because Zoom, it looks like Zoom got updated and the buttons are all in different spots. So I'm just trying to find all the new buttons and figure out where everybody is. And I touched base on YouTube a little bit more or earlier. So that is all I have to update for now.
Thank you very much. Do we have our recreation supervisor with us?
No,
How about our highwayman?
no, I did not see him.
How about our librarian supervisor, Kirsten?
She is here. Hi, Kirsten.
Hi,
How are you?
good. I am very happy to report that our glass at the circulation desk, our sneeze guard, was replaced this morning, and it's in great shape. So we were able to open to the public today at 2 p.m. and it was like Christmas morning at the library today. So we will be open Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 for walk-in traffic. Of course, some of you might know that our staff has been reduced because of COVID. So we are going to be watching our door count. We're going to be watching what the demand is for services, and then we will determine whether or not it's a good time to start the hiring process. But for now, we're going to keep those hours and see how it goes. So, and the library board did not meet in August. So that's all I have for now.
Thank you very much. How about our assessor, Augie?
Hello. Can you guys see me?
We can see your name.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Start.
There
Oh,
you
here we
go,
go.
Augie.
There you go.
The only thing I have to report is about the budget, and we'll do that whenever you guys tell me to do so. Other than that, we have nothing new to report. We will be mailing out the exemption renewals probably sometime in late September, early October. Other than that, Jamie is coming along just fine. She is the new clerk. I did also wanted to mention something about that how Shelley has been training Jamie. Very, very nice, very helpful. And I feel bad if that's causing a little bit of stress on the town clerk's department by sharing Shelley with the assessor's department. Those ladies there are worth their knowledge in gold. They really are helping Jamie. She's coming along just fine. It's just a temporary thing. I just want to stress that. And thank you, Pam, for allowing that to take place. I know we discussed before that if we did hire someone, that Shelley would be allowed to train her, and she is, and she's doing a fantastic job. I just want the whole board and everyone to know that if you guys do not see Shelley at her station or at her desk or busy, she is probably helping Jamie deal with some issues that maybe some residents came in and of the sort. I just want to point that out. And again, I would like to thank you, Pam, and the whole town for allowing that to happen. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Augie.
You're welcome.
And now, Pam, you've got the picture frame, so you've got to
Okay.
report.
Okay. Yes, I am not unmuted. The July report was submitted to the supervisor along with checks amounting to $9,363.22. And the state checks amounted to $76.50. School tax bills, tax bills are never a good subject, but the Monroe County Treasurer has talked to the county executive, and he will be, he's decided to remove the fees when someone uses their credit card and paying their taxes, and he is hoping to get the CARE Act for those inconvenience fees refunded to him. Rush has not used the Monroe County portal for school taxes. We do offer that on our town website if you'd like to pay your school taxes there, but we are not going to be waiving the additional fees either. Those will have to be on whoever is using that as their way to pay their taxes. We have started to sell hunting and fishing licenses. The DEC office, which I just discovered, and Avon does not sell licenses. So the DEC office itself, I was really surprised by that. But anyone can obtain a license online as well. So that is a new system that is available to anyone that wants to use it. Both my deputy and I attended the Monroe County Town Clerks Association meeting this month, and the Board of Elections was also in attendance by Zoom. Voting is going to be the same way as the primary, and I'm sure our residents have received a postcard from the Board of Elections. There is early voting again. There's 12 designated sites, and you can also vote by absentee ballot. The deadline for absentee ballots is October 27th. And I've, Jerry may be stating this as well, but his secretary, Catherine, has been working very diligently on our new phone system that we have installed. There's a little bit of kinks in it. So she's included me in the conversations with them. And we just ask for everyone's patience in doing that because there are a few different issues in trying to get the system working. But we will be getting that up and running. We're receiving calls right now, but they're not in the right departments exactly coming in. And I also wanted to ask Councilwoman Corbin and Deputy Supervisor Mazzetti if we have any word on our transcripts. Anything?
So-
At this point, town clerk, we're in discussion with the supervisor on it.
So there's going to
So
be,
we-
there's no decision at this moment? I mean,
Not at this moment, no.
So from my understanding is you're receiving the transcripts through the YouTube free service. And we are in discussion with Jerry because I have no decision-making power.
I do know that they were sent, the transcript was sent to Shelley. I can't remember if it was the zoning or planning, but it is not available for, it wasn't available for the August 12th meeting to get them from YouTube either.
Correct.
Because the
Are you
settings,
still able, are you
the
still
settings
able,
need to be changed.
it's not the settings. Are you still able to access Zoom and log into Zoom and get the recording that way and download it?
I can do that, yes. But we can't change the settings at all?
There are no transcription settings in YouTube.
Okay, well,
I
it
think,
seems,
I'd like a further discussion though about that and how we can make that work.
yes, that's what I was just going to suggest.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I will arrange for that to happen. Do you have anything else to report on, Pam?
The only other thing is at our next meeting, I'll probably talk to everyone about the discussions and getting the archives, the MU1, which is the book that I use for record keeping purposes. And the state has approved as of August 1st, another mechanism. So I'll be talking about that next time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
How about Attorney Mancuso?
No report.
No report. Is there anyone else, such as Sue Me or anyone who would like to make a report that I haven't called on? Okay. That means we've got to move on to old business. And I thought for sure that our librarian would comment on the activity that took place yesterday, but she didn't, so I'll comment on it. And that is, as you know from my announcement 2 meetings ago, I did sign a contract with QPK. And yesterday, QPK engineers were in the building, focused on the library problem, the leak problem, and what causes the leak problem. And they also took time to go into the attic of the main building, the town hall, and they will be filing a report on their findings yesterday. That's a very exciting time for me because that is the most thorough examination the building has ever had. And they said they found some things they were not aware of, but they didn't consider them to be showstoppers. So that was good news. I'd also like to comment on the Riverside Refuge. I almost hate to report what I was told, and it goes back to, oh no, not COVID again, but that's exactly what's happened. The COVID pandemic has halted things in the state, which has halted things at the local level, which has directly impacted the local waterfront revitalization project. I want to emphasize it is not canceled or postponed. They're just proceeding very carefully and very cautiously before they start engaging in the actual project activity. We're going to skip number 3 and we're going to go to number 4, and that is the deputy supervisor compensation. And I'll remind everyone, at the last town board meeting, we proposed compensation for the deputy supervisor, and we were told by Councilman Woolaver that he'd like to see a job description. I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. The job descriptions for deputy supervisors in New York State, there's a lot of deputy supervisors, but there's not a lot of job descriptions. And we finally found one down in the county where Ithaca is. Tompkins, I think it is. And we took that job description as a straw man, added a couple of things to it. Thank goodness for Catherine Hankins, who took a pretty good lead on that. And we were able to give Councilman Woolliver a proposed job description at the end of last week. And my question to Councilman Woolliver is, did you get it? Did you get a chance to read it? And does it satisfy your needs?
What I wanted was what actually Victoria would be doing, like specific projects, not a general job description for a deputy supervisor. Generally, just I'm afraid that you probably take this wrong, Jerry, but I'm afraid you're just pushing stuff on Victoria that you don't want to do. That stuff that's typically been done by the town supervisor.
I hope you're not behind the rumor going around town about that. But
What's
if you
that?
are, I have a response for you,
What's that?
saying that I dumped stuff on her. So before I get to that, I want to make sure that you understand you asked for what you got. If you want something else, may I remind you that you were one of 2 board members who protested Victoria's involvement about 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago, when she was involved in things like 1911. She was involved in things like the BOCES campus, and she was about to get involved in the comprehensive plan. And you and another council person said, you shouldn't be doing that, shouldn't be doing that. So now I'm confused now. I gave you the job description you asked for. Now what is it that you'd like?
Those are duties that are generally carried out by board members and the supervisor. It still looks like you're pushing stuff onto Victoria, but she has performed marvelously and she should be compensated somewhat.
May I remind you
Go ahead.
that there have been several examples of board members who don't have the time, don't have the schedule hours to devote to projects that they're given. And Victoria, from day one, I have never, listen to me, get this straight because it's a fact. I never gave Victoria a single assignment. That is a testament to her character, because she heard about things that needed to be worked on and she came out fully engaged and worked on them. And I'll give you a good example. Let's put the rubber where the road is. We had a town board member who was going to solve the problem of the electronic need for recording, etc. And after a month, nothing was accomplished. All of a sudden, out of the clouds came Victoria with a platform for Zoom, and we've been using it successfully ever since. There's one example. Do you want some more? I don't think I want to take up the people's time.
No,
But
Jerry, that's very good. And I know Victoria's been working very hard and very
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your claim that I've dumped stuff on her that others should be doing. Well, you know what? One of the reasons I ran, Dan, is because there was so much that was undone. The library roof is an excellent example.
Jerry, you worked on the library roof before.
Say what?
You worked on the library roof under Kathy Frank.
I worked on it?
You were looking into getting it repaired under Kathy Frank. And
I
at
don't
one
think so,
point, he took
Dan.
it away from you and brought
I
in
don't-
QPK.
I don't think so, Dan. I've got emails suggesting to Kathy Frank, you'd better get this under control.
I just remember a bunch of town board meetings when she said, Jerry, we got any report on the library? And you said no report.
Well, why don't you give me the transcripts from them? Because I don't
Well, you're at
remember
the town
that.
hall, ask Pam.
I remember asking her to engage the library roof to get it fixed. And don't forget, I didn't take office on the board until 17. So there
I
were a
know.
lot of years before that library roof leaked.
We've replaced part of the library roof where the
That
drain,
didn't fix it.
it didn't fix the front part, but
It didn't fix it.
It's been 15 years.
If you get a flat on your car, what do? Take one wheel off and run on 3? I don't think so.
Jerry, the water was dumping under the shingles on the north side.
Can
It
we,
was
can
They
we
dumping
just,
fixed
under the
that part.
shingles and
They
more
had to
than that.
replace the plywood because it rotted out. And they fixed that. They replaced the plywood and reshingled that side.
But that
It leaked
didn't
on the
fix the
front.
car.
so let's focus on compensating the deputy supervisor for all her hard work. And Dan, you said you'd come back in 2 weeks. And
Well, I
Hopefully
did a
vote
little
for-
research on different towns in the area. The town of Wheatland, they pay their deputy supervisor $1,242 a year. They have a
are they,
population
a,
of,
are they a town board member as well?
yes.
So they're being
The
compensated.
The compensation is much more than that.
The
Go ahead,
compensation
Dan.
for deputy supervisor is $1,242. The town of Hamlin, which has a population of almost 3 times Rush, they pay their deputy supervisor, who's a town board member, $1,200 a year. Town of Sweden, they have a population of 14,000. They pay their deputy supervisor $4,000 a year. And Ogden, they pay their deputy supervisor $12,000 a year, but they have a population of almost 20,000 people.
But it sounds to me like you didn't compare bananas to bananas.
Rush is the smallest town in the county, and I compared it to Wheatland, which is close to us at almost 5,000 people. Clarkson, which is almost 7,000 people, which is, twice our size. And Clarkson doesn't pay their deputy supervisor anything.
And are they a full board, Dan, or are they only a 3-member board like we are right now?
I don't know about how many members they have on the board. That's just what the
Well,
deputy supervisor makes.
Right, and that's why you have to compare apples to apples, but I appreciate you doing that research. So are you in favor of compensating Victoria? I hope, because the evidence.
Yes, I said she should be
Okay.
compensated, but 5,000 might be kind of high.
I want everyone to know that besides the job description, Victoria, within, I believe, a day or 2, emailed you, along with all of the town board, a 6-page document telling her what she has done since she started. So if, again, you're wondering what kind of project she would be doing, she will be continuing, as well as adding to that. And I think it's very important for the residents to know that not being compensated from January to April, she worked over 81 hours, over 848 emails. She even is so specific in her details to us that she averaged 2 minutes per email to write one. Her total minutes and hours were 28 hours, again, from January to April 1st. And it worked out to be approximately 7.4 hours of work per week. She has gone above and beyond. I know you know, Dan, I know you agree. You saw her save a zoning board of appeals meeting when we all saw that that was going to be a disaster. Her alone, she was able to do that with her expertise of actually going into that meeting. And according to section 42 of New York town law, so this will support what you want to compensate her, the town board shall fix the again, this is New York town law. The town board shall fix the compensation which the deputy supervisor shall receive, which compensation may be in addition to any of the other compensation he may receive as a town officer, town official, or town employee. She's earned the compensation package proposed. And I feel as a town elected official and a resident that we need to do the right thing. So I'm glad you're in favor of that, Dan.
My point going in from the beginning is the deputy supervisor position in the town of Rush has never had any pay associated with it.
I'll explain that, Dan. You can't go away from that without explaining it. The reason the deputy supervisor is on the table for pay proposal is because the deputy supervisor has been engaged in much work that needed to be done and needs to be done and was not available to be done by a fifth board member. Why? Because I made the decision early on after winning the election that I shouldn't appoint a registered party member to fill that seat. That seat should be filled by the people, the voters. And I refused to appoint a Democrat. I refused to appoint a Republican. And the reason I appointed Victoria is because she had no political agenda and she was of all of the measures to produce success that I could think of. And that has sure shown in her performance to get things done.
The point is, it still was unpaid up until this point. And I would hope going forward that we don't just develop like we're going to pay $5,000 to whoever is appointed to deputy supervisor going forward.
Dan,
Yeah.
do you intend to be on the board in January?
I do.
Well, guess what? We're going to have 5 board members and there won't be a need for a deputy supervisor at that time. And besides, it doesn't just carry over. It has to be voted on every year.
I understand that.
And I would expect at that time that you would vote against it, but it won't be coming up, so you don't have to worry about voting against it.
Very good.
So, any other discussion? I would move to propose a resolution to compensate the deputy supervisor, Victoria Mosetti, from the day she joined the town board till December 31st of 2020. The rate to be determined by the board. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
What's the rate, Supervisor?
What's the rate?
We're gonna pay the rate and then determine what it should be.
Well,
We got to get this thing done, John.
Well,
And-
I'm just saying that the resolution to compensate just needs to have a figure associated with it.
We will provide that.
Well,
Does either of the board members have a proposal?
I propose a compensation as before for $5,000. In looking at what the previous Councilman Woolever approved to appoint a building clerk in past meetings, $5,000 for the amount of work that Victoria has done well exceeds that. So I propose, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I would like to also mention that the empty seat that has existed since January 1 was funded and continues to be empty. And there's another seat that was vacated on June 26, and that is funded and continues to be vacant.
the money comes from two different places. It's not just, here's the council person's pay. It has to be transferred into, that's fine.
What's your proposal, Dan?
We have the money.
I know we have the money. What's your proposal? And she has done the work.
$5,000 is fine, but it's, as long as
Thank
it
you,
doesn't
Dan.
carry forward.
All right, then I'll propose a resolution to compensate the deputy supervisor for the year 2020 at the rate of $5,000. Do I have a second?
I'll
I
second it.
would just clarify the
Can-
resolution, Supervisor. Do you want to have, for budgetary purposes, since it's a retroactive pay, how do you want do you want Dan to process, I'm assuming for the next pay cycle to catch up the deputy supervisor and then from thereafter to be in a normal cycle?
That would be fine, and I would plan on talking to Dan about that tomorrow.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to make sure that that was, so Dan understood.
I'm sorry, clerk, Pam, do you want to take a vote?
I just want to be clear on the resolution because it's went back and forth so many times. So can we recite it one more time so I know exactly what you're saying?
All right, I will recite it again. I move to propose a rate of compensation for the deputy supervisor, Victoria Mazzetti, for the year 2020 at the rate of $5,000 annually. That would cover from the first day on the job to December 31st.
I'll second it.
Okay, on the motion, Councilman Wilver.
Aye.
On the motion, Councilwoman Corbin.
Aye.
On the motion, Supervisor QC.
Aye. And I thank everyone for their patience listening to this. And I thank Dan and I thank Amber very
And we
much.
thank Victoria.
And I thank Victoria for her patience.
Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. I can always say that it was never about the money. It was about growing up in this town. It was about being a part of this town. It was about having my family in this town and being involved with all of my neighbors in this town. So I appreciate that, and I thank you, Dan. Kathy, I thank you very much as well. And Amber and Jerry, I appreciate all of your support and encouragement. And if we were in real life, I would say, guys, the drinks are on me tonight at the Creekside. But I've been waiting to say that for 8 months now.
Well, we'll catch you.
Yeah, you'll find me. You know where I live.
We know where you live. Thank
you,
you.
Dan.
I want to move on to new business. We had our first budget workshop last week, and out of that came a proposal to have the recreation supervisor have the pavilion budget transferred to her budget. She pretty much manages that facility and makes sure it's ready for renters, etc. She's the contact person for all who want to rent it. So Mark David agreed that it would be more appropriately represented in her budget. So I'm proposing a resolution to transfer the pavilion financials or budget activity to the recreation director supervisor's budget for the year 2021. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Can we have a discussion on that just so that we're all on the same page?
We sure can.
So the transfer of the pavilion, is that just the rentals? The rental, or is that include other items that would go with managing of the pavilion?
Well,
Dan Clem, Don't know if you can help me with that or not.
Yeah, Amber, my take on that would be, it would be anything pavilion related. So it would include any of the pavilion rentals. It would include the payroll for the cleaning of the pavilion. It would include any of the out-of-pocket contractuals for that, and should include any capital purchasing, if you may, related to the pavilion. So everything pavilion related, I would envision would be transferred over.
Thank you, Dan. That would not include the mowing of the grounds.
No, that's parks. It's strictly, again,
Yep.
pavilion rental, pavilion payroll for cleaning, and the specific out-of-pockets direct costs, which come in the contractual category for the pavilion. And again, as I said, any capital items, if we were looking to do any acquisition there,
Maintenance.
yeah, you got it.
Okay, thank you. I'm good, Supervisor.
Are you a yes?
I'm going to pull a board.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Councilman Williver,
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey.
Aye. Moving on to future dates, we've got town board meeting September 9th, and town board meeting September 23rd. I hope we have a good turnout of attendees for those meetings. I find a lot more reward in talking to 60 people than talking to 6 people. I hope my associates feel the same way.
We're up to 37.
And that's low for the past few meetings. But that's okay. I welcome all 37 here. We've got a planning board meeting September 15th. It's a public hearing. And we have a zoning board meeting on August 27th and September 10th. Would anyone else like to make a comment?
Is the conservation board meeting this month or in September?
Dan, I have not heard. They've all been canceled up until this point, so.
I'd like to make a comment.
Pardon me?
I would like to make a comment.
Okay, we're going to have a open forum meeting right now.
Okay,
As soon as we leave the agenda.
I can respect that.
Okay, dear, we'll be right to you.
All right, baby, thank you.
You bet. We're going to move into the second public comment session. Remember, this is the public comment session where you can say whatever's on your mind. You can ask a question. You can expect interface with a member of the board or myself.
I can respect that.
All I ask is that you be respectful of people, those in attendance and those at your service.
Thank you.
So please have at it.
Hey,
Yes.
Ann, could you just tell me, it's Ann DeStacio and then what?
No, this is Elizabeth DeStacio.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Yes,
All right. And then if you could just say your name and address one more time for the
All right.
record, the town clerk.
I may get emotional. So overlook my tears.
That's okay.
Okay. My name is Elizabeth DeStacio. I represent Ann at 8015 West Henrietta Road. 14546, West New York. Are you ready for me?
Yes.
I feel that Victoria should get the money. I really do, Jerry. I mean, don't get over my tears. I think what happened to me was an injustice, but that's neither here nor there. But I've been watching the town meeting and I'm thinking to myself, I read the town of Rush and you're like, one big, beautiful, happy community. We're not, Jerry. We're not one big, happy community. And that makes me sad. It makes me so sad.
Yes, Elizabeth, you and I have discussed this, and I agree with you.
And I mean, I know what's going on with me. I'm not arguing anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But when they said to me that my neighbors were getting my water, and my neighbors on the West Road signed off on it, they weren't getting my water. And, you know, I'll tell you what, Victoria deserves the money she's getting. And why do you have to argue about that? I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, why do you have to argue about somebody getting what they deserve? I just don't understand it. And I just read on the town of Rush, we're a wonderful community. Are we, Jerry?
Yes. And I hope you were here in attendance when you heard the vote taken that Victoria will be compensated for her effort.
And she deserves that, Jerry.
Oh, we know that.
Oh, but I'm just saying, are we that much of a petty community that we can't come together? And it makes
Well,
me sad.
I think we came together tonight, Elizabeth.
I am just so sad that this had to come to this. You know, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and whatever it is. But when do we finally say, hey, we stand up as a community and we made a mistake? I mean, I'll tell you what, my three neighbors that Lee Hendrick is worried about, they get my water. I mean, I know my mom's sick, not your problem. It has nothing to do with you, but the three neighbors that are supposedly going to get my water, Mary makes cookies my mother loves. And my other two neighbors give me fruit that my mother loves. And that's what community is all about. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel.
That's okay, and I'd love to talk to you after the meeting tomorrow night.
I would love that. But I'll tell you what, Victoria deserves the money.
We all agree with you.
But I'm sorry, you know, I read on the internet how Russ is a loving community. And I said, you know what, of all this stuff that's going on with me, there's only been 3 people that has been standing by my side. And not you, Jerry. You've been astronomical. And the best thing that ever happened was you were voted in. And I thank God every day you were voted in. But, you know, I read the thing and they're like, well, you should have done, yeah, I would have done everything the right way. Had I known. But I'm so glad she got her money. She deserves it. But, man, Jerry, make this one hell of a community.
We're going to work on it, Elizabeth, and I thank you for your encouragement.
Oh, I know I get emotional, but
That's okay.
A rough time for me.
You're making me emotional with your compliments.
I mean, you've been great. And, you know,
Thank you.
the fact that she got her money, she deserves it.
Yes, she does. Thank you.
And you know what? Let's put all the garbage aside. You know, I don't care. You got three members. Let's come together as a community. Let's work for the people. They deserve it.
I agree.
take all your garbage aside. I mean, they had to go another week or another 2 weeks to write down her stupid, what she does. I mean, really? Let's put that aside, come as a community and do the right thing.
We will follow
Make us
advice.
strong.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
You deserve it.
Thank
You
you.
deserve what you're doing.
I'm here for you guys.
Oh, thank God.
Arthur Avila is next, and then Carol Barnett.
Supervisor, can I chime in at this time, or should I keep waiting?
On your budget, Augie?
Yeah.
No, wait till the budget workshop, which is after this
Got it. Okay,
period.
no worries.
Thank-
Thank you.
You can say anything else you'd like.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm doing some work here at the desk.
Okay, great. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Arthur Avila, 1000 Rush Scottsville Road. On the YouTube channel, there are some of the videos that are showing that they have the closed caption, and the last one is the one that it didn't have. That's something that I talked to Pam, and I did show her how to remove the timestamps out of the ones that have the closed caption. But I think that the issue there is that the last town board meeting was uploaded without the subtitles, the closed caption. And that's what was preventing her from getting the transcripts there. So I don't know if it is something that we have to require the video to be uploaded again, or if it is something that it can be changed on the channel for the town. But then if it is something that can pay attention that the closed caption is being made available, that's what can make the transcripts from the video available for whoever is watching it, and that's what can make the transcripts available for free for Pamela. So yeah, please take note of that and double check it, please.
Thank you, Arthur.
Yes,
You're
Arthur,
welcome.
thank you. And thank you for the education on birds at the last meeting.
You're very welcome.
I
I
wasn't,
owe a lot of that to my wife, who is a biologist, and she studies birds.
I was inspired to go look up a couple of birds. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All righty. Carol, where are you, Carol? There you are.
Hi, Carol Barnett, 117 Lines Road. I had a comment on Dan Wooliver's comment in his report about an architect to go through the 1911 house charging $10,000. That sounds like a lot of money to me. That's a big chunk of a yearly salary for a lot of people. And I don't gather that you're asking the architect to draw up plans. I think it's like a feasibility review, and it just sounds like a lot of money. And so would you expect to have more than one bid on that, or specifications for what you're actually asking for? Because it sounds to me like, that makes it sound like, a deal breaker, but I don't see why it would have to be for using that building, continuing to use that building.
Got a couple names from our engineer. I'm just starting to look around to see what I can find out about price or anything. Just starting.
Okay.
You know any
Thank you,
architects?
Carol.
Thank you.
All right, Kathy. Hey, there you are, Kathy.
Thank you. I have 2 points. One, I am a Americans with Disabilities Act compliance person and have done many reviews, and we can go really to Center for Disability Rights. I encouraged Rich Anderson to invite them. I did a report on our ADA compliance for both our Whittown website as well as our building back in 2012. So we don't need to go to an architect so far, and we don't have to have every floor be accessible in order to protect a historical building. So there's a way to do that with the Rochester Independent Living Center. Compliance is really a matter of making sure that no program, no service, no activity run by the town of Rush is inaccessible to any person with any type of disability. So the goal is accessibility, access. So we have some very serious problems in our town. I was surprised to find out that we have exceeded how many people work for our town, because now we need really to have, for compliance, an ADA coordinator. That's a requirement under the federal law. The second issue is just a real personal issue that I want to make sure is brought up as we move forward with Horseshoe Solar. They had made a note in the last meeting that they were contemplating having sheep graze under the solar panels, that somehow that would be some beautiful sight, but it would be a horrific sight for me. I have witnessed CAFOs, Consolidated Animal Feeding Operations, in my many areas of New York State. And I would like to caution our town in getting involved in that. We have beautiful fields, but we have never had any consolidated animal feeding operations. What's going to happen in the winter? Where are they going to spend the night? Where there's too many other many factors, and to create such a sort of a pretty picture of sheep grazing under the solar panels, I would like to really have that investigated, and a really significant caution to before we do that. And the third comment is just that I've been working in the town hall for maybe 6 weeks now, and it is humbling, very humbling. I'm really welcome the opportunity to work closely with the clerks and work very closely with Jerry Kusi and the other board members. But there is a litany of projects that have been put into the budget since 2012 that have never been implemented. And a budget, as we move towards the budget hearing, I've worked on many budgets over my years in the nonprofit, and have had many grants where you have to propose a budget and then you have to spend it. So as a grant writer, you have to write it, and then you're held by the state agency that gives you that grant to spend it. And this last discussion in terms of the value, the purpose, the reason why Victoria Massetti became the deputy supervisor was really lost in this partisan debate. Dan, you were the deputy supervisor. We have had, you sat in that seat that Jerry is now trying to fill very well. And you have to work with him, because you know that there are many things that have not been done, and they need to be done. So our town is compliant. And now we have this backdrop across this town of the pandemic. So I agree with Miss Elizabeth. I don't know her, but I think we have to work together. And I really, again, encourage the board to consider having another fourth person, because we are still going to be in, the next 4 months are going to be very challenging for our town, and it's not enough. And by your own presentation, Dan, for not thinking about why someone gets $1,200 versus $5,000 versus $8,000. You know, and if you want to benchmark the board members, well, then you can go benchmark them. The board members in this town are very well paid. But, you know, I really think that you should take a step back and do more homework to make sure that you're not contributing to the divisive scheme in this town. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
I don't see anyone else.
Wow. Give it the old auction try.
At the risk of filibustering or extending this meeting by an additional minute, the supervisor, the court clerk, is that something you wanted to do tonight or not?
Yes. Thank you very much. Let me give a little bit of verbiage to that. The court has been as much affected by the pandemic as the rest of us have been. In addition to that, just prior to the pandemic, the court clerk lost personnel. And because of the pandemic, they haven't been anxious to fill the position. But now when they're looking at a potential backlog, there is an absolute need to fill the addition of a court clerk cashier, I believe. They have been fortunate to find a person with 15 years of experience, an excellent work record, and more than anything, she wants to work in the town of Rush. So my suggestion is that we approve a resolution for the court to hire a clerk by the name of Amy Schultz at a rate of $15.81 per hour. That's step 5. And I would set the start date at September 1st. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Williver,
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Supervisor QC.
Aye. Thank you. Does anyone else have any comment? Then we will adjourn this meeting and go into our budget workshop. All with a interest in the budget workshop are more than welcome to attend. And I hope you join us. Do I have a second to the adjournment?
I'll second.
Yep, I'll second it. We'll both
All
second
in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now we can go over to Dan's favorite subject, Dan Klimick, that is.
Have a good night, everyone.
Aye, John.
Thank you, John.
Take care. I hadn't got my second cup of coffee yet, guys.
Well, I thought you drank peach juice down there.
Dan doesn't need any coffee for this. This is what he's been waiting for.
No. What could I say? Guys, thank you so much again. This is our second workshop. I'm going to share a screen here, and I hope I do the host disabled participants.
Could I ask a favor?
Yes.
I think Augie has a workload that he's trying to deal with. Is there any possibility you could be prepared to send him first?
I certainly can.
Into the gauntlet?
I have a couple of comments that I'd like to make up front, and then we can put Augie to the front of the line.
Well, go ahead and make those comments.
Hey,
Okay,
Dan, I
yeah.
want to make sure you can share your screen. Can you?
I've tried, and it looks like I'm coming in now. So
Okay.
I think I'm coming in. We'll try it and see what happens. Okay, and we're going to share. All right.
Okay, perfect.
Super. Okay. Wanted to make a couple of quick comments, if I may. This is our second workshop that we have, and we wrapped up the departmental budget workshops tonight. Now, I'll go to the calendar first. This was our calendar here, and the departments that are scheduled for tonight are these here. There were a few adjustments. We already did zoning, planning, conservation, and the special districts. Tonight, we will be covering the supervisor. We will be covering code enforcement, fire marshal, the finance area, and the library is also going to come in. A couple of dates I want to keep everybody informed with as we move forward from tonight is that by next Tuesday, I would need to inform any and all department heads of any board decisions where there were changes made that were not discussed as part of the budget workshops. So I ask Amber, Dan, and Jerry, if you have any other changes other than those that we've talked about, please make sure I get those as quickly as possible. Now, according to the calendar, I am required to provide a tentative budget to the town clerk by next Thursday, looking at the calendar, September 3rd. And then, of course, the town clerk would present the tentative budget to the board at the next board meeting. So again, there's a tight window in here. So, you know, we got a lot to do here and just need to make sure everyone's on board with that. The balance of the calendar here is that once the tentative budget's been presented, if there's any further feedback, it goes back by the 16th to the supervisor, and I would say to myself as well. And then by the 22nd of September, we provide the preliminary town budget to the town clerk, who will then post that for public hearing purposes. Public hearing on the preliminary town budget would be October 21st, and then again, I have a tax cap submission with the state controller's office, and on November 11th, the town board would move to adopt the preliminary town budget. With regard to the budget notes, real quickly, these are all the same notes as we had before, with one very, very, very important change, and that is under item number 7, when we discussed this 2 weeks ago. Our departmental budget requests had us upside down, if you may, expenditures over revenues of 197.5. You can see right now that number's 113,500. That's based on all the adjustments that, again, were that the board had discussed in the area of the highway and the area of the historians. It also includes some other adjustments that Jerry has made to the supervisor budget, which we'll get into in a little bit, and a little tweaking I did on the finance budget as well. But I just want to point that out, that we're looking at 113.5 as a number that is currently unfunded. And for point of reference, that number last year was 150,000. So we're in a better position at this moment than we were at that time. There are more than adequate unexpended fund balance that we can use that could help cover this cost. That is what I have at this point. We can now go into the individual departments at this point. And Augie, if you want to go first, and I'll get your budget up on the screen.
Augie, before you start, I just want to make a mention of something, and Dan, you can chime in if you'd like here. As everybody knows, we are now in the end of August producing a budget for 2021. We still have this damn pandemic haunting our house every day of the week, and we don't know what the long-term effect of the pandemic is going to be in the third quarter of this year and the fourth quarter of this year, or even going into 2021, which we are building the budget for. I think about this and I lay in bed at night getting nervous about what would happen if the third quarter and fourth quarter sales tax refunds to the town took a real nosedive. Now, Dan continues to hold my hand through this and say, Jerry, don't worry. And I feel good after talking to him, but then I get in bed at night without him and I think about, oh my gosh, what if this happens? And Dan, would you like to chime in on that?
I'll do my best as I can to try to provide some semblance of this. Very clearly, no one knows. No one has a full crystal ball of what we can expect, you know, for the third quarter, for the fourth quarter, and then going of this year, and then going into next year. So we try to make some judgments on that and try to stay as conservative as we possibly can. Now, for the second quarter, which we just received, and this came in after we had developed the initial budget for this year, we got $65,000 in. What I've done is, you know, again, then I looked at that and I got a report from the comptroller's office indicating that July sales tax revenues were down 8.2%. And while that's not great, that was encouraging news because it wasn't going down as much as it otherwise could. So what I've done is in developing the budget and continuing to look at this year, I said, okay, let's assume that we will get, you know, that we're not going to get, you know, 100 less the 8%. Let's assume we get just 75%, which was a number that had been thrown around earlier on. Let's assume we get 75% of the prior year's sales tax receipts for the third and for the fourth quarters of this year. If we do that, that would generate a revenue number for this year of $394,000. We had budgeted $390,000. Now, I took those numbers further and brought them into 2021, and I was looking and I'm saying that, okay, we think we're still going to be in good shape here, that we should receive more than what I'm budgeting, $400,000. It looks like, again, if we keep those numbers down and we expect that they're going to be less than they otherwise could, you know, at roughly a 75–80% level, I think we're going to be very safe with a 400,000 number. Are we going to hit it? I don't know. I can only hope that we do. Again, my best educated judgment is that this is a safe area to be in August of 2020 when we're looking forward to 2021.
Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, it's Amber. I have a question. I heard you reference 8.2% from the state controller, and then you took a 75%, but
yeah.
Our sales tax that we got for the third quarter wasn't that a much higher reduction than 8.2% or even?
Yeah, yes, it was. Yes, let me call it back up. That was about a 62% reduction, Amber. That would have been for the and that would have been for the second quarter, April, May, and June, when everything was completely closed down. As you know, as the state has been opening up, as more, you know, business is occurring, as things are, you know, starting to evolve, you would certainly expect that it should start coming back again. And again, as I say, the information from the comptroller's office that it was down only 8.2% for the month of July is encouraging. I'm not ready to, you know, say, okay, that's a number that I'm going to hang my hat on. I'd rather go back to the 25% reduction, which is what I've used in developing our numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Let me just make a little addition here. I was intrigued because in my weekly supervisors meeting, that's with the other supervisors in the county, I heard them talk about 12%, 15%, 20%. And then I looked at the figure Amber just referred to and I said, wait a minute, what's going on here? How do they calculate that? Well, I tried to get a hold of the finance people in the county finance department. And I hate to say it, but guess what? They're still not all there because of COVID. So I'm still waiting for them to respond. And as soon as they do, I would like to make the board and any resident who is interested aware of what kind of a formula they use to determine how that sales tax is distributed.
Yes, and Jerry, and even once they do give you that answer, bear in mind that you still don't know what that big nut is at the beginning, you know, that they're going to start divvying up. That's the key point. Number one is how is that number comparing to last year? And number two, certainly in your supervisors meetings, you want to make sure that some of your other town supervisors aren't doing anything to decrease the town of Rush share of the county's sales tax.
Absolutely, Dan, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the big key.
Dan
But again,
Clement,
as
can
we
I
look
just make,
I'm sorry, go
it's
ahead.
Amber, can I just for the following years, is there some way to put a notation on your sales tax revenue Excel spreadsheet that says you took a 75%, so that in future years, if we're ever find ourselves in, hopefully never this again, but we can say, why is that number the way it is? Oh, well, Dan took 75%. I wouldn't be able to know that unless I wrote it physically on my paper.
I will make a notation on the schedule, and you know, each year we use the prior year schedule and update it so that we have that history going forward. I'll be very happy to do that. And Amber, by the way,
Thank you very much
for all the questions on this. It does help to have that other perspective as we look at these numbers. Again, at this point, Jerry and Amber and Dan, you know, if for whatever reason we don't receive, you know, 400,000 in sales tax revenues, again, you know, and nobody knows. Again, you know, history has been that we've come out better than we project, and that's because we try to stay very, very conservative. Should we come up short? Yes, it would mean we'd have to dip a little further into the unexpended fund balance, of which the town of Rush has an adequate resource to utilize if necessary. You don't want to, but it isn't the end of the world. It isn't anything that would cause the town, you know, to not continue to operate. And again, personally, based on everything that I can see, I'm looking for some bounce back. I'm not looking for it to be 100% bounce back, but I think a 75% bounce back is a very safe place to develop our budget from.
And I have warned Dan, if you need to dip, go anywhere you can to dip, but don't go near the library roof project.
You're going to have that done this year, Jerry. So that'll be a done project. I won't be able to touch that next year.
All true.
All right. If we can get Augie started, and hopefully we can get people home not too late. Augie, if you want to go.
Yeah, thank you. So the assessor's office tentative 21 budget proposal. The proposed budget for the 2021 is estimated to be about $2,200 less than the last year. Some of the details, as you can see on line 1, are related to personal services category. Includes annual salary of $16,775 for the clerk at a rate of $16.13 per hour, for an annual salary of $21,785 for the assessor. That does include a step raise from step 3 to step 4. Step 3 was $21,148. Step 4 is at $21,785. Line 2 relates to equipment, which would be similar to last year at $1,650. Primarily will be used for a new printer for the clerk up front and a new chair for myself. I do have the models and the amount for those for that printer and that chair, which I shared with Ms. Corbin earlier on last week.
Augie?
Yeah.
Augie, can you please give us that number so everybody can hear it?
Oh, sure. So the new chair is going to be, these are from Staples. The new chair is, it's called the Luxura Fall Leather Chair. It's on sale right now at $119.99. I have the item number and the model number as well. The printer is a Brother HL at $279.99. We could get it cheaper, $30 cheaper if we do get it from Staples at $249.99. But just like the printer we got in my office, if we get it from our IT guy for $30 more, then in case anything happens, they will service it. I feel that $30 extra is well warranted in case anything does happen in the future with that printer. Line 4 relates to a few items, one of them being a $2,000 for computer software. Another item is around $3,500 for travel, meetings, and education expenses for next year. Those are estimated due to the travel and meetings and some training issues that are to be necessary in order to do next year's reassessment for the whole town. The last item is $19,450. That's going to strictly be used for the townwide reassessment services. Hopefully we'll have a complete and successful reevaluation process. It'll bring our town back up to 100% status, which is very important. It'll do a couple of things. This will actually help the residents in the town, believe it or not, because it will probably change the exemption amount for the basic and the enhanced star to a higher amount. Number one. Number two, typically when we do townwide reassessments, it tends to lower the school tax rate and somewhat the town tax rate and hopefully the county tax rate itself. And it will also bring everyone to a 100% level of assessment at full market value. For the total for appropriations for all that would be $65,160, as you can see at the bottom of the list there. That's all I have.
Before anybody questions Augie about the proposed step increase that he shows, he did come to me with his budget. We reviewed it. And I was very pleased at the time because of the, what was it, $2,500 reduction, I think, approximately.
2222 to be exact, Jerry.
All right. Well, I was close on the high side. And at that time, I did not know what the other budgets would look like. So when he said, would it be okay for me to put in a step increase for me? And I said, well, put it in and see what happens. Since then, everybody knows what's happened. And Augie is the last one to present us with his one-step increase. And I won't speak for the board, but I think I know what I'd like him to do about that tonight.
All right, I'll speak up. This is Amber. And first question is under contractual. Last year there was $24,950 in the adopted and amended budget. And now this year there's $24,950. And you said that's for a reval. Was there a reval scheduled for next year that we never did?
The reval was actually supposed to happen this year. That's why the money was in the budget. The reason why the reval was never done in 2020 was because the previous assessor never filed the proper paperwork with the state in order to get the reval underway. So when I came into the town and I was told that we were going to do a reassessment, when I did ask the state about it, they said it was too late to file the paperwork. The previous assessor never did file it, so that's why we had to push the reassessment to next year, 2021.
Dan Klimek, can you just explain to the residents that are still on what happens to that $24,950 from the 2020 budget that will not be expended?
Sure. Actually, it goes away. It does not carry over. And it would become part of the, should all other budget categories come in on target, it would in essence go into the unexpended fund balance. It's simply, we do not carry over budgeted amounts. If you do not spend it, you lose it.
And that's why it's in the 2021 budget.
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, when we originally did this, if you're looking at on the screen there, at the time we did this in July, again, we anticipated we'd still be doing it. Obviously, this $24,950 will not be spent in 2020. There'll be some expenses, you know, that'll occur, but a lot of that simply will go to enhance the bottom line, which we talked about it within the budget notes beforehand. So if other categories come out, you know, a little high, whatever, you know, then that, you know, this will help to offset the overall. We, you know, once we wrap up the year.
Augie,
Under
this is Jerry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, Augie, would it be helpful for people to understand that there are at least two categories of reval, residential and commercial? Is that correct?
Yes, there's also for some towns an industrial as well, but doesn't apply in our town. But yes, there are two categories. Yes, that is true.
We do have industrial zone property. What's the impact of the taxes you pay on that vacant land that's zoned industrial?
Not much. When they look at industrial, they're looking at industries, factories and of the sort. Just because we have land zoned, that doesn't make much of a difference.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So Augie, as we spoke and emailed with each other, the $1,650 for the equipment, and you were very gracious to do that research, and it looks like it comes out to be about $400, maybe $500 with taxes and things like that. I would like to have that equipment amount reduced, and I went on record at the first two budget meetings that, and I'm going to be consistent and transparent and upfront, that in the time of COVID, and given we had all our employees, when we closed down, were being paid to do their job either at home or coming in or part-time or whatever, at this point, I will not be voting for step increases. And that's my update on the assessor's budget.
Okay, from my perspective, obviously, I'll need to know a consensus of whether to include that or not. And Amber, you had said that you were looking to decrease the equipment category, the $1,650.
Yes, because
And what would you take
when when I added up what he said, I figured we probably should give him a little cushion because of taxes. It came to 400, right? Or 500, sorry. I gotta do my math right. So I'm not.
Around 400.
So let's leave 500 in there.
Sounds good.
Got it. Okay.
We're in agreement on 400.
Okay. And
Dan, this is Jerry, and I am in agreement with the reasoning behind Amber's proposal to remove the step increase. It would be very, very inappropriate to have one employee get a step increase. It's not much, I understand, but the perception would not be good.
I agree.
okay, we will pull that out as well. Any other comments, questions?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, then Kirsten, if you're there, why don't we let you get chime in and do yours?
All right, thank you very much.
Take care, Augie.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Augie.
Yep.
Thanks, Augie. Kirsten,
You're
are you
welcome.
there?
I'm here. And
Okay, there you
yeah,
are.
out of respect for my other department heads, if there's somebody who'd rather go before me, because mine tends to be a little more involved, I'm happy to wait.
Well, Kirsten, the only other ones that are there would be, we did have Rick Tracy, who is not here, but his budget I'll cover, and he's not making any changes. And then it's going to be myself and Jerry. So you're it. You're up.
Okay, that's fine. Just trying to be polite here.
And I put your budget proposal on the screen. If you want me to go somewhere else, I can. This is this is the budget as it looks at this point. The overall impact was that it was, again, its return, let's see, looks like it's going from 41 in net revenues to 40,000. This does not cover any of the fringe benefits. Fringe benefits are budgeted in a separate area. So this would be library less fringes. Near the same dollars. The primary driver difference, I believe, is some of the utility costs and insurance costs that we really don't have too much control over. After that, Kirsten, it's yours.
Thank you. If you don't, yeah, if you could return to that one. So I did give each town board member the budget in the budget notes for the budget that was approved by the library board. And that was before Dan Klimek gave me my, replaced my estimates with, I guess, a better estimate from Dan Klimek about utilities and fringe benefits. So, so now this one that you're seeing on the screen does reflect those changes made by Dan. So I had submitted a flat budget. That was my assumption based on conversations with the supervisor at a town department meeting. As you know, we've had some staff turnover this year, and those 3 employees were at step E. If I replace them this year or next year, generally most people start at step A at the library. So that's what I included for next year's budget if I'm to replace those folks. There's really not much to talk about. Everything was in my notes if you read them. Where I can, I cut the budget. And when I've had an increase, like with the Monroe County Library System cost share, which is what we pay to be a member of the system, I did reduce travel and conference by the same amount to account for that increase to the cost share. Everything else I tried to keep as flat as possible. Of course, we are up against the minimum wage increase that is set by the state. So that is factored in. And I did include potential step raises, but now I'm hearing that that's not happening for next year. So of course, there would have to be adjustments. Nobody told me this ahead of time. So any questions for me? I know Amber and I had a conversation yesterday. I'm not sure if I answered all the questions.
Yeah, Kirsten, this is Dan. Real quickly, if there is no step adjustments, could you give me an adjusted figure sometime, maybe tomorrow?
That's possible.
Okay.
Just so you know, though, we are, you know, we just opened for business, and I'll do my best. Things are
by Monday.
Right now.
Let's say by Monday.
Sure. I mean, yeah, anybody could just take the merit increase out. That would be easy to do. Yep.
Yeah, just, but I'd like to have the numbers come from you if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't have any questions for Kirsten.
No, she explained everything that she was doing with me as well.
And, you know, her budget is one that you don't have to comb over to see what's been increased. So I thank you, Kirsten.
She did
You're
an
welcome.
excellent
You know,
job.
I really value the townspeople of Rush. I'm a town taxpayer. I try to be as conservative as I can be with tax dollars. And I'm an open book as well. So if anybody ever has questions about what I'm spending your money on, I'm here for you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I think, Jerry, it's going to be you and I going forward. Let me pick up a couple of loose ends and then.
Excuse me, Dan. This is John Limbeck. Am I not supposed to report tonight?
You were no, you were on the first week, John. You bailed out, and we covered yours already.
Well, if he's here, why don't we go over it with him since he's
Yeah.
here?
Let me go.
I think that would be good.
Not a problem. Let me go there.
I apologize. Your agenda initial showed me on for tonight.
Well, we were dealing with 2 different agendas, John, and confusion is understandable.
Okay.
And I'm gonna, let me just make sure I pick up here. I'm going to another schedule. These just make sure anything that we discussed real quickly. Okay, let's go back to, all right, this is your budget, John. And as I understood it, we left your budget as presented. You had permits, we left that at $15,000. You had a good month again in August. That number's been going up. I think you're going to be somewhere around 13 for the year. And let me go to your notes here.
Yeah, we're up to over 9,000 so far this month, this year.
Yeah, so, and we've got 4 months to go. So I think you're going to be in fair shape with that permit number.
Okay.
And that was one of our questions that we were asked about. I was curious about, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and this is your worksheet, John, with the adjustments that we made on the contractual. This was your tally. We made some adjustment here. Again, the personnel services is really just your own pay.
Yeah.
There is no clerk included in the budget, and the total of the contractual is $33.55. So.
Okay. And this is, John, I really would appreciate a mileage, because if you have 0 and then you put in for mileage, which you should, and that's going to change that number. So I know you're new.
Did you get the note that I sent? I sent the note off to everybody that, so far, the first month that I was there, I accumulated just under 60 miles at 58 cents a mile. That was $34.80. If you extrapolate that over 12 months, it'd be, in the $420 range. That was the note I sent out on the 18th.
I'm sorry, John, I did not get that.
I don't think I got it either, so.
It was addressed.
Unless it only went to Dan.
No, it was addressed to Amber with a copy to Jerry, Pam, and Rick.
I got it.
In response to your note that you sent on the August 12th.
Thank you. So Dan Klimick, if we could put that in there.
Yeah, so you want, yeah, right. So you want to increase your contractual by, did I hear $400?
Well, like I said, right now, the first month was 60 miles, which comes out to about $35 for the month. So if that's a good way to do it so that there's a figure there, that's up to you folks.
It's your budget.
I agree.
So we'll put 400 in. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. Thanks. Any other questions?
No, thank you, John.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Again, sorry for the confusion.
No problem.
It's okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to the, what would be Rick Tracy's. And Rick had sent me this email. Basically, when we sent out the departmental budget packets, he basically was saying that he expected everything to be identical. So what we did was go back to the budget. We made it identical. This would cover all of the fire marshal, the emergency, and code and disaster, the 3 areas that Rick is responsible for.
I'm very satisfied with this, and I want to remind everyone that the job that Rick did, sure, he got paid for being the building inspector, but he rallied to the pandemic requirements for building safety, building protocols, and I thank him very much for that. And I look at this budget, and it's, as Dan has showed, it's flat, and boy, that's acceptable to me.
Amber, Dan?
Very good.
Yep, very good.
Cool. Jerry, why don't we go to yours? What we have left for my schedule here is the finance budget, which includes a number of the revenue areas, as well as just finance, the fringe benefits, and yours. So Jerry, we'll bring yours up next if you would like.
Well, you choose.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and
you were the recipient of all of my requests.
You bet.
None-
And if you would like, Jerry, I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and start, and then you can add comments as necessary.
Have at it.
Okay, and I'm going to add one more thing here. Bear with me. I'm going to have screens all over the place. All right. This is the amended, the revised supervisor's budget, and I have sent this out, I believe, yesterday to Dan, yourself, Amber, yourself, Jerry, and Victoria. So this is revised. What we did, and again, in the categories we have, there's the legislative, it's carrying the same. We have the other categories. Let me go to his detail. This might help a little better. Town board, we're budgeting 4 board members at $8,136 per member, and that's consistent with what the 2020 is. On the supervisor's salary is still the same, and the supervisor's secretary, we had budgeted 20 hours a week, and that's at $17.63 per hour. Now, prior to this year, for the last few years, we had combined the supervisor's secretary pay along with the time they spent with the central printing newsletter. Jerry is asking for that to be separated out, so I'm showing those as separate amounts, if you may. And I've taken that out of the pay up here. The total time the supervisor secretary will be 20 hours a week, inclusive of the central printing newsletter. But this is the amount that we're budgeting of her time that would go toward the newsletter printing. It is not an increase. It's just simply a reallocation from the secretary line, from the account 1220.1 to account 1670.1.
And it's not weekly, it's for 6
It's for
productions a year.
Right. It's again, the estimate was 15 hours are spent by the supervisor secretary on the preparation of the newsletter, and there are 6 newsletters per year. At that hourly rate, it came out to $15.87. So that would show in the budget. And I do not have that here in this line at this, or yes, I do. I'm sorry, it's up here. I'm in the wrong place. And that's how that's breaking that out. So the legislative, the supervisor, and the central printing. And again, you can see the overall is down a little bit from the amended budget for 2020. And the reason for that is that the prior supervisor secretary was at a step 5, and Catherine and/or anyone else who would be brought in would not come in at a step 5. They'd be coming in at something less than that. So there'll be some savings in that area. We go back to the contractual area. In conversation with Jerry, he felt that we could reduce the contractual amount for the town board from $1,500 down to $300. We had budgeted $1,500 a year, and we had anticipated that there would be one trip to New York for training and all. And Jerry has asked that be the training, whatever may occur, would be local to keep that cost down, and not only for the town board member, any new town board member, but also for himself. So we were able to adjust his down somewhat as well. So that's the explanation for the decrease there. And these, Jerry, any comment?
I would just say that I've done not extensive research, but I've looked into the training in New York City versus the local training, and I don't see a big difference in the quality or quantity of training. And I also don't know what the effect of the darn COVID is going to have on next year. I don't want anybody to feel obligated. They've got to go someplace where they don't feel safe. So I just said to Dan, let's remove it. Let's take it out of there. And, you know, once this town board, and I'm talking like it's January, once this town board sits for a year, next year they can decide on what kind of training they might like, and it could include a New York City-based training at that time.
Okay. Now, on the legal, we have the legal we're taking to 75,000. That's comprised of two components. It's the retainer, which we just got an agreement from John for next year, which comes to $50,000, and that would leave 25,000 left for litigation of anything that may come up. I think that's a reasonable number to leave in there. You never know, you know, that's the thing with litigation. You just never know, and we need to have something in there for that. Engineering, similar type of thing. Again, this is strictly for town board work. It is less than we're showing for the current year. Current year was bumped up because of the projects, the Helios and the Forefront. Should those projects come up, or something of a similar nature come up again, then that would require us to increase these budget, the engineering and the legal budget category, but it would be an offset to an increase in a revenue category from the funds that would be received from those sources. So its net impact to the taxpayer is zero. For budgeting purposes, we don't want to show that because it's an unknown, and it's strictly an in and out type of an activity.
Yeah, let me just add here that the process is in place to ensure that project activity as a result of an application is not costed to the taxpayer, but it's costed to the applicant. I'm not 100% certain that that works perfectly every time. So I think all of us should be diligent in making sure that when we are involved with a project, especially looking at the finance side of it, that it is funded by the applicant and not by our taxpayers.
And I'll add to that, Supervisor, that as we are looking to update the Zoning Board of Appeals applications and Planning Board applications, that will be very clear on that for both of them. But as I look back at all the way back to 2017, which isn't reflected on the worksheet for the engineers, in 2017, it was over 28,000. In 2018, it was almost 16,000. So I thought maybe you forgot, Dan Klimek forgot to put a 1 in front of the 7.
No.
well, Dan,
that's what it was last year.
yeah, Dan Klimek did have the 1 in front of it, and Jerry said, no, we're not going to do that. And again, using the rationale and the argument that he just provided.
Okay.
So yes, this was one of the adjustments that goes into where I had mentioned at the forefront that's got our overall deficit down. Hadn't forgot.
And that's because those payments come out of the escrow that the tier
Should come
3
out of the escrow. That's
charged.
correct, and or be billed.
Well, they should come out of escrow.
Well, there are payments out of escrow for some applications. There are other payments that are billed directly to the applicant.
That's correct.
That are not out of escrow, but they're just applicant costs that get incurred in the process of applying.
Okay.
I'm good.
Moving on, association dues, that's an annual fee to be a member of the Association of Towns, and they've already notified us that our dues for next year will be $1,000, so that's a set figure. The veteran services, each year we provide or pay for flags, and again, this last year it's $585. We've dropped $600 in. Last year, I think we budgeted $600. Just left that alone. And the beautification is the out-of-pocket, not the payroll cost. The payroll cost currently, Mark had brought up under parks. This would have been the out-of-pocket cost for plants, and we Jerry had felt $3,000 was an appropriate number for this category for next year. Now, going down, we have a contingency account. Let's say something does come up and we kind of messed up somewhere. We do, and again, we're budgeting out, 17 months, out from, the end of 2021. So things do happen. And what we put into the budget each year is a category to allow for some contingency that can occur. We put in 25,000. We're expecting we might utilize about 20 of the 30,000 for this year. Again, this just to call it a safeguard, if you may, for the overall budget. That again, as I say, should something happen, say the sales tax instead of hitting 400,000, it hits 390. In essence, again, I have money here that can help offset that and still stay within the budget. And that's the total budget. Go back to the other screen.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Nope.
Mine have been answered.
Thank you.
Great.
Victoria?
No, sorry. Had to find the
Thank you.
unmute button.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, so what we have left is finance and fringe benefits. I think I'd like to go ahead and look at the fringe benefit. Well, let's look at finance. I guess it doesn't matter. And we'll open up one more screen. And actually, I do have one other thing I'd like to bring up even before this. I'm sorry I missed that. Yesterday, Pat Stevens sent out to everybody another revision on her recreation department. Did everybody get this?
That was a revision downward?
It actually is a revision up. It's a revision up, Jerry. The one that we have reviewed and had concurred on showed a net deficit down here of combined 29,156. This would have been about 21,000. So she's improved her overall.
Yeah, I saw it. That was the one where we suggest she pick a midpoint. Was that the rationale there?
I think this might, well, that's what I thought last week was.
Yeah.
This is still another revision, and her comment to me, do I have that? Hold on.
Dan, I talked with her today, or emailed her today, and I got the answer, if that helps. But I'd rather, you can read what she said.
Okay. The long and the short of it is that she's picked up her after school program, now showing 49,000, or showing 64,968. Let me see if I have her other schedule here handy real fast. And I do not, and I apologize for that. I was going to mention it only in terms of the net difference. The net difference, if you want to incorporate these numbers for next year's budget, would improve her difference by a positive factor of $25,000. When I all added up and so on, her net deficit would become 25, much smaller. Again, it's the net of, actually I think it's a plus of $4,000, where she was down around $21,000 last week. And again, I'm sorry, I don't have that schedule in front of me, and I can't change the screen without losing you. So.
Yep, Dan, she was down 21,112.52.
Thank you. Yes, and I just don't have that one here. So this is now showing that she would be up $4,041. The combination of these two. Again, that's a swing of $25,000 for y'all. If you would like, I can incorporate these new numbers into the budget, or we can leave it as we had it last week. If we incorporate these numbers into the budget, that shortfall that we had of 113 at the start would go down, obviously, by 25. We'd be below 100,000. We'd be somewhere around $90,000 without regard to any other changes we talk about today.
Well, that would be good, and it's good news to hear that, but I'd like it to be able to look at, I actually saw Pat's email, but I didn't look at the figures she submitted, and I'd like to have a chance to look at them.
And what she and I emailed back and forth is that the difference between the updated amended COVID, when we said we would help carry over for this year, and she was anticipating only 5,622 in the after school program. She said she spoke with the school district and they are anticipating in January going 5 days a week. So she would be picking up those students that instead of being a 2-day a week would be a 5-day a week.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I actually called a couple Rush Henrietta teachers and they had not heard that, but Pat's talking with the people she needs to talk to. So teachers, right, Victoria, teachers are sometimes the last to learn. I'm still waiting to find out. So Dan, Klimek, I agree with the supervisor. I need to see the numbers because I still don't see 25,000. It was 5,600 for the after school and now it's 14. So again, we don't have to talk about it now, but I'd like to see the numbers.
Well, I might recommend then let's just leave it the way it was presented and discussed and agreed and approved last week. And if this model comes up, hey, that's great. Then, we're going to perform better than we planned. But I think we leave the budget the way we agreed last week.
Okay.
Okay.
I would have to agree. I would have to agree with Amber. I'm not saying that what Pat heard was right or wrong, but I think so much is in the air right now to make accurate financial predictions.
So be it. So let's leave it where it is. Okay. Next, we'll go into the finance budget. There's a lot of components to the finance budget, and again, within the finance budget area, we pick up things such as the real property tax, we pick up the sales tax, franchises, and all those other crazy little categories. Amber, thank you so much for all of your questions that I got, and I've responded hopefully to all the questions you had in satisfactorily. So we don't have to dwell so much maybe tonight, but whatever time you all would like, I'm good for. So maybe we look at the revenue area first. And again, this isn't finance area, this is revenue for the town, but it shows up as we cover the finance budget. We're showing it going down a little bit, and it's going down when I look at the amended budget compared to the tentative budget, and that's in the franchise area. The franchise included 30,000 from the solar escrow projects. As we've talked before, as we increased the expense side, we had to bring in the additional revenue. So that's a net wash. It might be better to compare the 977 in that regard, because that's the only difference to the 971. At the moment, we're not touching sales tax. We leave it in at the same level, and we will be adjusting it as necessary to balance the budget when everything is together. So that number will change in order to based on what the board requests. Sales tax, we went into a bit before. We're budgeting 400,000. I feel very comfortable with that number based on all the information in front of me today. I feel that is a very, very safe number. You can see what we got in 2019 was 455,000. I think we're going to be okay there. Franchises include the cable, basically include the cable TV with Comcast, and that's a contractual relationship. We get an annual payment. No, I'm sorry. We just get an annual payment on that one, and that's based on a percentage of the total revenues that they get. Interest and earnings is, again, based on funds that sit in the bank and how much interest we expect we're going to receive. I think I'm going to have about $1,100 this year. I put in the budget $1,000. Rent cell tower.
Dan, does that interest and earnings include the unexpended fund balance?
Well, the answer is yes, Jerry. Unexpended fund balance isn't different than the cash in the account. That's just an accounting item for monies that the town has that they did not have to commit. They did not have to spend. It's excess dollars. It's not what's in the bank in cash plus unexpended fund balance. It's this relates to cash that's in the bank. And yes, certainly if the unexpended fund balance would go down, certainly our revenue could go down. I still think we're talking small dollars here. I think we're going to be fine with $1,000.
Okay, good.
Okay, rent for the cell tower is made of two components. There is a schedule that you all have that calculates out, and this is again a contractual item. It goes up a little bit each year. That one is again a solid, safe number. It's nothing going to change there. This is a big drop here. The rent on the corner property. Last year we anticipated 21,000. This time in the middle of 2019, we thought we'd have about 21,000 of revenues from the corner property. We're not going to have anything at all. We got 823 this year, and that was because I found an accounting glitch that the people who managed the property for had shorted the town, and they obviously corrected it. So that shows up. That's what this is. The rent for the Bosse's property, we got a couple. I put in a number based on what we're getting this year. I didn't have another basis to put in there. It is down because we're not renting out the farmland. Again, Jerry, I don't know if you have any thoughts, comments there. At this moment, I don't know anything more other than to say, well, this is what I got last year, so it's probably a safe number to put in for next year.
I'd like to stay with a safe number.
Very, very good. Miscellaneous.
Dan,
I'm sorry, Amber, go ahead.
It's Amber.
Yeah.
Is there any rent, Dan Wooliver or Jerry? There's nothing being rented there.
Right now. Nothing right now.
I would think it would be zero.
Well,
what do you think, Dan Wooliver?
You go ahead, Dan.
I don't see anybody renting it right now. I mean,
the only thing that gives me angst about this is knowing how commodity prices are for agricultural products. But I look at those fields that are unused, not the 100 acres, but between the railroad track and River Road, and there is a lot of unused land there now, and you don't know when somebody's going to come by in early spring and say, is that available?
when we first got the property, we put it out for bid. We had a number of farmers bid on it. I don't know if you wanted to do that again.
Well, what do you think about doing that?
There's always a concern from town residents about the use of pesticides. And if you can't use pesticides, you don't get the yield you need to make money.
Well, I think, we've got enough time to talk about it, so we'll have a discussion about it, because I certainly think that could be a direction in which to go.
All right, but to budget it, I wouldn't want to budget it if we don't expect it. Do you want to leave this at 2,300 or take it out?
I vote for leaving it. It's a safe amount.
Okay. Amber?
I think we leave it. I think we could generate some interest and do some farming over there. I hate to see it sitting there doing nothing.
Exactly. That's another consideration.
Okay, we're good. Thank you
Okay,
for
good.
the answers.
All right, the other categories, we have just a miscellaneous category. There's some things that sometimes come up. It was 500 budgeted. I left it alone. Again, are we going to get it? I don't have anything specific that, you know, that would relate to. It's just simply carrying it forward. Each year we do get some state aid revenue. It's been annually forever, $14,833 that the town of Rush gets. I've dropped that in the budget once again. Could the state come back and say, hey, we're not going to do it? They could.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yep.
At this point, based on history, I felt that it was wise to leave it in there. Question?
Not from Jerry.
Okay. Last category here on the revenue is the mortgage tax. As properties are bought and sold, again, you know, part of the closing that everybody has a payment that goes toward the government. And as there's more activity in the real estate market, that number can go up. You can see in 2017 we had about 78.7. In 2018 it dipped. But it came back strongly last year. Now this year with COVID, what's happening? Based on the reading I've had in the Rochester market, if you may, and you know, including Rush and everything else I see, with mortgage rates as low as they are, I'm seeing a tremendous amount of activity. I'm anticipating we're going to have about $87,000, $88,000 when this year is over. We got 46 for the first half of the year. I think we're safe with an 88,000 number, the number that we're going to get for 2020.
I try to go by houses that I see with for sale signs.
You got the ones that say sold.
Boy, they don't last long.
They do not last. I can tell you guys real quickly, with my property up there, I put it on the market, and in less than 24 hours, it sold for over my asking price. Now I was in West Henrietta, but you know, only a mile or two off of Rush. So, and everything I'm seeing again, and I still keep my ears, you know, open and listen. I think that's a very safe number. Any comments, questions?
No.
Cool. Amber?
None.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, good. Now we go into the fun area, I guess. And again, I redid mine, quite frankly, based on our conversations from the last workshop. And I brought the finance budget. Those numbers are me, if you may. I had initially had a quick conversation with Jerry saying, hey, Jerry, I'd like to go up a step if that's okay. And but based on that, you know, what happened at the last workshop, I took it back, and you'll see the numbers are identical with what we had for last year. I'm certainly not gonna argue or protest on that. You know, it's not worth it. So those numbers are the same. Same thing with the building. Amber had an interesting question. Why is the building, to me a day or so ago, why is the building under the finance budget? Why isn't it under the supervisor's budget? And that's a good question. And I quite frankly, it's another one of those categories like the Pavilion that had been in one place, and it's really managed by someone else. I have no problem with it in my budget, but I don't manage these individuals. I don't direct their pay. I simply pay them based on the timesheets they turn in that are approved, I would assume, by Jerry. And again, what we're talking about, and I'll go over to the details here. These are the details of those. And again, we have a maintenance man that's salaried, and he's at a step 4, no change. Same thing for laborers, and the winter would be, I believe that relates to the shoveling of the snow. Includes cleaning the town hall, that sort of thing. So all of those numbers stayed the same. I didn't touch them, I left them alone.
Good.
Under capital, I have a $300 item in there, and that's and again, Amber, I really, I can't say it enough. I really appreciate all of your questions. This relates to a potential need for a printer at Town Hall. Printer that's in there is used for a variety of things, including check printing and so on. And if it were to go down, clearly we'd have to replace it in a hurry. We don't have a backup for that. So this is there just in case. Any of the equipment that I'm using at home here is strictly my own equipment. And I'm not asking for any equipment purchase on this end. You know, I do have certain supplies that I've turned in for, such as paper and toner, that sort of thing, but no capital items. So I would leave, it's a small item, it's $300, I'd leave that alone. We go to building projects, again, another one of those categories that's been under the finance budget, but you know, I don't have any control over. I looked at this number, and Jerry and I, we've talked about this somewhat. For 2020, we had a total budget of $49,250, and these categories that we have here are loosely applied. That is, that these are just some ideas where we think we might spend the money, not that we necessarily are going to spend the money in those areas. For example, on the pavilion upgrades, we could, in theory, instead of spending the $5,000 for pavilion upgrades, we can spend it for AC in the town hall, $10,000, and spend same thing with the BOCES upgrade, and that's probably how we're going to cover the cost for that AC repair that's on this week's abstract. So these are just soft categories, if I may. Same thing for 2021. Again, what I did was I looked at this number and I said, you know what? I know we're going to have some areas in the overall budget that are going to go up. We need to probably not be so active in the area of capital acquisition items. And so let's take that number down to $20,000. How could that $20,000 be used? That could be used, we talked last time about having some, I think, computer equipment that could be used by different people. It could be used for a variety of things. I don't know that we need to have it specifically identified to this or that. I think we just want to have some amount in the budget for capital items that may come up. Again, you know, a year ago, we didn't know that we'd have to spend money on the AC or the glass for the clerk's office and assessor's office and so on. And, you know, so consequently, you know, we don't know what may happen come next summer. I think we need to have a number in here. It's I think it's a meaningful reduction. Again, I'm open to thoughts from anyone.
Well, my opinion is that many of these could be the result of fund transfer to go for something else.
It certainly could. It certainly could. You know, it's another area in addition to contingency, if you may. We're saying that in the budget, we think we're going to need to spend some money for capital items. And what I'm saying is we don't have anything predetermined as of August 26th that we'll need to spend it on. And again, you all may have some ideas for things that you might like to do, but you know, let's put in the budget some money to cover some not huge costs, but some, you know, some costs that are of a capital nature that wouldn't be that would be above and beyond what somebody would handle within their contractual budget. Dan? Amber?
I'm thinking about the BOCES property. I see that price there, $5,000. Building 7 at the BOCES property's got a hole in it, which happens to be above the electrical panel.
So
it'd be nice to get to spend some money at least patching that. We've had a price on getting the roof done, but it's going to take a lot of money. But a patch would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, the first question I would have is that something that could be covered under the 2020 period before and done and complete prior to the end of December? If so, then it doesn't impact 2021.
In terms of building preservation, we should.
That hole's been there a long time, and it's going to end up like like the other 2 barns if we don't do something on it.
Agreed.
There's a big hole over in the old tack shop on the other side of it too, but that's getting to a point where it might have to be knocked down.
Okay.
Agreed.
Other question there, Dan. Just as we had the Fair Association pay for the work on those corrals, if you may, is this
Yes.
something that they would be willing to or responsible or could be asked to reimburse or cover the cost?
They're not real anxious to do anything over there until water comes in.
Okay.
And they've got money available, but it's not, unless water comes in, it's not real useful for them.
So that's
But
one.
if water shows up, they're ready to go.
Okay. So that's one potential item that might have to come out of next year. Again, as I say, there probably are other items. Again, I just threw a couple of things in there, quite frankly.
Yeah, but I just saw that number in the Bosse's property and made me think of that
Yeah,
hole
yeah.
that's been there.
Absolutely.
Well, my opinion is that I know Catherine's starting on the website redesign, but I don't know if that will be done this year. So I understand what you're saying, Dan Klimek, that the whole amount can be moved around and things like that, but I'm just wondering between that and potentially if the 20,000 is enough. What, Jerry and Dan, what is your opinion? I mean, that's a big reduction.
It certainly is.
I'd like to see a little more there, but
I agree.
How
I
much?
didn't know if I was the only one feeling that way.
Okay.
I think I'd feel more comfortable with 30. I mean,
Okay.
it's still a reduction of almost 20 grand.
So,
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to 30.
okay. So
I
we're gonna
agree. Thank
add
you.
10,000 plus 10,000 to that. Obviously, that works in the opposite direction for us, but we've done some things to help that out already. So, okay, so be it. So that'll change to 30. We go under contractual. This section is under the finance department. You'll see my net number is the same. I did not change. There's my estimate. I did not change my budget. I shuffled a little bit of money from ADP payroll where I think I'll be safe, and I added a little bit to printer supplies and miscellaneous, and that's because, again, I can't use some of the supplies that are in the central storeroom. I have to run out and get some supplies. So that's, and if they were in the central storeroom, they'd have been picked up under another budget, but obviously, if I'm paying for it out of pocket, then it's going to come out of the finance budget. So that's the reason for a little bump up there. Forms, checks, essentially everything else is similar. The membership fee, that's membership in the finance group that we do. The SEC compliance, done again, that relates to the Phelps Water bond, which we have to continue. The ADP flex spending relates to the flex spending program that we offer the full-time staff. In essence, they turn in the receipts to them. They make sure that all the documentation is done and take care of all of those nice things, and then make the disbursement to the individuals or to the provider as necessary. Obviously, there's a lot of headaches there. Our involvement on it is the upfront, establishing of funds available by employee, and then of course, on a monthly basis, as expenses occur, they will then debit our account, and on a monthly basis, they bill us. This fee here is strictly for their management of the program for us. Very reasonable number, in my estimation. Accounting software, this is payment to KVS. That's a maintenance software charge. It goes up a little bit each year. Again, not much I can do about it. That's just where it is. This year it's going to be, I believe, $37.05. I think I got notice on it. We haven't gotten the actual billing for it yet, so that usually comes any day now. Again, the long and I guess they say the total, I try to keep that consistent. Under building, again, another category I really don't have any control over, but it's been part of this budget, so here we go. And you're going to see I dropped it down, and I dropped it down primarily because of the rental property. Again, the corner property, the cost for utilities and so on that we were paying there since no one's there, those costs aren't there anymore. It's going to run us about $2,500 for it yet still just to sit there. But that's certainly much less than we had before. So that's the primary difference in this category. Information technology, that's the support from Pinpoint and so on. Utilities are actually I'm projecting up about 4% over actual from what I estimate this year. It's down a little bit from what we budgeted. We just budgeted a little heavier last year than than what the actual is coming out. Insurance, again, you'll see I've assumed a 5% bump in the insurance cost. This insurance is for the general package for the vehicles, liability, errors and omissions, and et cetera, et cetera. All of those nice little things are included within this particular category. Again, don't have any real control over that, and that seems to be a safe number to work with. Street lighting, again, is from from National Grid. Obviously, I'm saying, okay, let's assume for about a 4% increase over actual. Again, the budget last year, we budgeted better than what it looks like it's actually going to be this year. So I'm just saying, let's go 4% over actual this year, and that's where that number comes out. There's nothing in this area. So I have a grand total of $212,000 overall in expenditures, and that'll be 232 now with the change in the capital item. The main driver difference here in this area is of course the drop in the capital spending.
Dan,
Yes.
when the town hall bond was retired, was there a correlated effect on tax payments?
Yeah, certainly there is. There were other things that were going on at that same time. Let me see if I have that still showing up. Here's where, that was the final installment of that was paid in 2017. I believe in 2018, we went into the 200-year anniversary, and we had some additional costs that went there. And while the overall total for the town went down, there were things that did go up as well. We were able to reduce taxes in 18. I want to say 1 or 2%. I don't have it off the top of my head. So
I believe it was at least 2.
Yeah, so we did reduce the taxes some, Jerry. Again, last year we did from 19 to 20. We actually held the line, but from 17 to 18, it went down maybe 2%, and 18 to 19 went down, I want to say 1%. So we were able to bring the cost to the taxpayer down. Understand that, again, other things were increasing that you don't have much control over. The cost of living adjustments, things of that nature that could eat in and did eat into some of that. So, it's not just one simple number that drops to the bottom line.
And where is the Phelps water?
Phelps water is under the special districts. This one was not a special district because this was done for town hall and it affected all taxpayers under the special districts. And I can go, nope. Thank you. And go here, page 90. And here's where you're going to see, there's where we have the Phelps water. There's the principal and there's the interest again, as we talked about last week. That's going down because as the total principal goes down, obviously the interest cost goes down as well. And this is the schedule on that Phelps water bond. There's for next year, there's going into the year, there's $35,000 outstanding. We pay $5,000 a year off the bond. It will be paid off in 2027. This is the annual interest, and you can see each year that number goes down. Again, we make the payment in middle of the year. We'll make an interest payment, roughly half the cost, and then in December, and that'll happen this year as well. We'll make the principal payment, and then we'll make the second half interest payment.
Thank you.
Yep, okay, so that's that. And I think that is it for the finance. Any other questions? I can go back to the main sheet here.
I have no questions.
Okay, if we're good, I'm gonna go, then we'll go to the fringe benefit area, and I believe that's the last item that we have to cover. So far tonight, before I get in there, we've talked about making an adjustment to the capital area for the assessor. We've talked about reducing the assessor's personnel cost to leave him at no step increase. We've done a $400 adjustment for the building inspectors for mileage, and we've added $10,000 to the capital program for the town to take that to 30,000. We have not touched, we've left the recreation alone. So those are the changes I have tonight. If anybody else has anything else, please let me know. And this is the fringe budget. Victoria, how am I doing with this on the screen? Am I doing okay?
Yeah, it looks fine to me.
Okay, yeah, I'm learning how to do this screen share, so I hope I'm doing all right. All right.
Can you still see our heads?
The fringe benefit area, look at it.
What we're looking at is fixed. There's no opportunity for adjustment.
Not really, but we can talk. We had to talk about it a little bit, Jerry. And Amber asked, again, Amber, thank you so much. Amber asked a number of very good questions. I spent about 3-4 hours on her questions yesterday. And, you know, again, more than happy to do that. But I think we had to go over in total. In looking at this, again, this is the amended budgets for this year is $476,000 in total cost. We're seeing that going to go up to 484. Again, as I say, as Jerry just mentioned, there's not much we can do about it. Best way to look at this is on the components of the fringe benefits. First one is the state retirement program. I'm projecting a slight decrease in there from 120,500 to 120,000. I base that on the fact that the prior year number was under 120,000, and what I've seen is the state's billing to the town of Rush has been essentially constant. It's moved around only by a thousand or so. I have not yet received notice or an advance notice of what to expect for this next year, so I don't know what that number will be. But I feel pretty safe, pretty comfortable that this number will hold at 120,000. And this just shows the relative percentages to each of the categories and so on. Social Security, Medicare, it's 7.65% of wages. It's showing a slight decrease because we've actually decreased a couple of people's pay or a couple of departments' pay where they brought in new people such as Augie, who was receiving less money than the prior assessor, Dan Stanford, was receiving, and so on. So we have a little bit of savings in this area. Again, it's strictly a computation number based on the total personnel we have. If we changed, for example, if we were to entertain a bump in the cost of living across the board, there'd be a slight adjustment here as well. It's always going to be 7.65% of whatever the payroll is. Workers' compensation, I'm assuming about a 5% bump over the 2020 actual. Again, that's been pretty level. I don't expect much difference there. We budgeted 32,990. I think we're going to be at 30,003. 5% bump takes us to just under 32,000. And most of your workers' comp cost obviously would come from the highway area. That goes without really saying. Unemployment. Unemployment, I've left alone. I thought long and hard about this category. because of COVID and because we currently, beginning in June, July, we started having a few people collecting unemployment against the town. These were a couple of the recreational people that we had been paying up until, from at the start of the year into June, and then we let them go. The state calculates your unemployment rates based on a year that begins in October, ends in September. And we have such a positive balance because no one has been collecting against that. And the individuals who are getting any money now is negligible. I don't see any change in our rate for 2021. I think if we're going to see anything happen based on how the state would calculate that rate, if we're going to see anything happen, it would be in 2022, and we'll have better information at that time. But for 2021, I think we're going to be fine. I don't see any change there. And even though here I had estimated $2,800 as the total cost this year, I think we're going to be closer to about $2,400 by the time the year ends. Disability insurance, New York State requires all employers to provide disability insurance, and it can either be done and funded directly with the state, or you can have a private insurance covering that. It is cheaper to have a private insurance covering that. We've paid out $1,000. Let me get my handle here. $1,800 a year, excuse me, for this. 1746 is the actual number. That's not going to change. It's a calculation based on full-time equivalencies, and we do a little calculation based on hours that I pull out of ADP at the end of the year, and come up with a number of full-time equivalency. And then there's one rate for male and a separate rate for female, and it generally comes out to almost the same number every year. Again, I don't see any change there. This is, if I might add, an area where if we had the PFLs, the paid family leave, this number would, if the town had opted in to the paid family leave program that we're all somewhat familiar with, this number would probably be about 4 to 5 times as high as it is now. As a municipality, we had the ability to opt out of it, and we have. Okay. Health insurance. Health insurance budgeted on, we budget based on what Excellus offers in the Simply Blue Platinum 5. The employee pays 10%. The employee also gets a $500 flex spending. There are 10 active full-time employees and 3 retirees under this that the town picks up cost on. There's 1 active full-time employee who, in lieu of receiving health insurance, gets an additional $1,300 in their pay at the rate of $50 per pay cycle. That one changed. Last year we had 2 who were getting the $1,300 and 9 under the coverage. Again, with the change in personnel turnover, that went from 9 to 10 and 2 to 1. The aged retiree over coverage is for 7 employee retirees and spouses. The town has, per the employee manual and agreements with their employees, picks up the cost of the retiree and spouse cost for the Medicare Blue Choice copay option, and that's included in their coverage. And dental coverage, the town picks up 90% of single cost coverage only, and the individual, if they want to have spouse or family coverage, they're responsible for the balance. And they pick that up. And all of these, the employee shares, if you may, are all picked up through payroll. It's set up at the start of the year. The town also offers life insurance and accidental death dismemberment of $10,000. This is only available to the full-time employees, so it's only for the 11 people. And that has an annual cost of just over $600. And that town picks up that cost in total. The town offered the life insurance 2 or 3 years ago when we made some modifications in the health coverage that actually reduced some of the benefit to the individual, but it was a big savings to the town at the time. It was much, and so we said, okay, as you know, since we're making a change in the level of the health coverage, we're going to give you $10,000 of life insurance. Now we had a preliminary figure from Excellus that the rate would go up 8.2%. We don't have a final figure yet at this time, but when we add in the dental, the life insurance, and so on, I'm projecting that my net increase will be up by about 6.5% over the estimate of last year. So even though so where we're at look like at this point we're going to have about 227 in total cost. I'm saying it'll be about 242 at this time, and that is about it. There is also for the employees, full-time employees again only, we do have a vision program that we administer, but it's 100% funded by the employee. The town's involvement is doing the payroll withholding and making the payment on a monthly basis to the vendor. And that's the extent of that. So, and we have some participation in that. I don't, off the top of my head, I want to say 7 or 8 people are in that. And that is it. And that's our total. Any questions? And again, as Jerry, as you indicated, it's really, you know, it's really contractual to the greatest degree. Nothing that we can do. Where we could do something is if we wanted to change a benefit plan. I wouldn't recommend it. Rush has been very fortunate. We haven't had any conversation with unions, but the moment you start playing with a person's benefits, they start thinking, I may have to do something to protect myself. I think this is again, it seems like a huge number. It is a huge number, but I think it's far less than we would be incurring if we went down the path of trying to do any more with the level of coverage. Dan, Amber, Jerry?
Jerry's good. Jerry, if Amber, do you have anything to add?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I'm good, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Great, okay.
Before we adjourn, and I do believe that we can adjourn safely, I want to thank Dan Klimek for, I was going to say dragging us through this, but
which he did.
Everybody went willingly, so you weren't dragging us through it, but your knowledge of this is very helpful to the rest of us, at least to me it is. I want to thank Victoria for her contribution and her patience over the past 7 going on 8 months. I want to thank Amber and Dan for their participation and their participation in the resolution for compensation for the deputy. And I think that's a good step to put us all together in the same spot.
Okay, now I have a couple of quick comments, Jerry, if I may. Again, number one is if Dan, if you or Amber, if you or Jerry, if you have any other adjustments other than those that we've talked about, please get that to me. What I will attempt to do tomorrow is give you a listing of all changes that have been made and where that puts us in the overall budget process as far as balancing revenues against expenses. Now,
the only thing I want to do is look at Pat's new figures and then let you know my opinion of them.
Okay, Amber, Jerry, Dan.
I agree.
If you feel good with those numbers, would you want that incorporated within the budget?
Yes.
Amber?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I want to look at them first.
But
okay.
that's a better answer than I gave you.
I want to take a look at them.
I shouldn't be sure. I want to look at them.
All right, no problem. Now, the final question that I have to ask, as I, again, because my deadline is to get a tentative budget available for the town clerk next week, is in balancing this. Again, we started the evening out of whack by about 113,000. I would suggest we utilize unexpended fund balance to bring it to a situation in which there is a zero impact on the overall tax to the residents.
I agree.
I vote for that.
Okay. And so I will come up with that number and work that into the budget model. There'll be some components for general fund, highway fund, and library. And again, just to confirm, there is no adjustment for cost of living. Everyone's pay for 2021 will be identical to 2020.
Yep.
Okay.
I just wanted to go ahead, Dan.
No, I was going to say, if there are any other questions or thoughts or comments, please, if you could, get them to me as quickly as possible so that I can package this and get it to you. I will share if not the entire packet, to each of you. I will give you the high points, if you may, and what the impact is. If not tomorrow, more than likely, probably sometime Monday.
I have one last comment, and that is, I don't know how many people are still with us, residents that is. And for those who are, I thank you very much for your patience in joining us in this. And I hope you appreciate what we go through to try to deliver the services with the income we have. And as you've heard Dan say, or Amber and me, we really don't want to be a higher cost for what you've been getting, and anything we can do to prevent that from happening, we will do.
There's about 4.5 people left. I guess we're all residents. We're all residents, so.
Wow, 4.5. Who's the half?
I'm going to give Deb Cusey the half.
Well, she fits. She fits. All right. Do we adjourn this meeting, Pam?
Yes, you do.
Or do we just bid each other goodbye?
Yes, you do.
Okay. I call for an adjournment to our budget workshop.
All in
Do
favor?
I have a second? Aye.
Second and I.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job, everyone. Remember, stay
Thank
safe.
you.